lack of supplies, it's the lack of security, it's the lack of rescue people. Everything, all these factors makes this an incredibly dangerous base jump. Our safest way to jump this mountain was actually to bring our wingsuits. When you fly the wingsuit, you're actually able to fly over the whole boulder field, so we could land safely in the bottom. We had 45 degrees Celsius. It was intense and it was very dry because we were, of course, in the middle of the desert. Yeah. And I actually had a heat stroke just 2 days prior to our first climb up to the top of Hand of Fatima, and had to take heaps of drugs and really was sick for a long time. Climbing to the top of this wall took us 12 hours the first time, and in the intense heat and knowing what had happened to you and how you had reacted to the sun just 2 days prior to it, it definitely makes you scared of this happening again. We climbed to the top and it had gotten dark, so we couldn't jump. So we had to spend the night on top of the jump. And we slept there and woke up to a sandstorm the morning after. And we had never had anything like this before, so it was another surprise that we didn't expect. But we spent hours on top waiting for the sandstorm to go away, but it didn't stop, so we had to rappel back down. And for us, when we came back down to our campsite, we had spent, the mountain had drained all our energy. We had spent 12 hours to climb up. We had slept the night there and waited on top. And we had no food, didn't have a lot of drinks. And we came down and we felt like we had failed. And we saw all the kids who had been sitting underneath a small bush in the shade waiting for us for hours and hours and hours. And they were clapping and cheering on us, and we realized that for them, it was a dream just climbing to the top of the mountain. And it was unbelievable. They had grown up with this mountain their whole life, and they weren't used to seeing people climb up and coming back down. So we realized that we had actually accomplished a big achievement and we should be happy about it. And it was these kids that gave us the motivation to go back up and do it again.
5, 4, 3, 2, see ya!
When we finally, or on our second attempt, on our second climb to the top, the winds were still strong when we were waiting, so we had to sit on top for 3-4 hours and waited in the heating sun. And this actually, it made us unconcentrated, took us out of focus because the heat was affecting our body, and this scared me a lot. And I remember when I was standing on the exit point, I knew that I was not as focused as I should have been. But I decided that it was not affecting me as much as it would endanger my jump. I was going to still survive it, and I felt like I had control. I was just not where I wanted to be. And I jumped out, and a split second after I jumped out, I got hit by a wind gust coming in from the left. And the wind gust pushed my wingsuit out of control and actually pushed me back towards the cliff. And I remember seeing the cliff and thinking that I'm going in. But then I was like, no, come on, fight it, you can do this. And I slowly managed to turn the wingsuit away from the cliff. And then I had a new problem, the boulder field underneath. What was I going to do? And I felt like I was too close to the cliff at this time, and I lost the momentum of flying out from the cliff. So where I was at right then, I couldn't open the parachute because of the wind. the wind would push the parachute in towards the wall. So I had to fly further. And this was putting me lower in towards the boulder field. And I decided to open very, very low. And it was lower than I've ever opened a parachute before. And it was scary, and it was nothing that I want to do again, but I felt like that was the safest way of doing it. And I was lucky to find a tiny little landing spot in the middle of the boulder field. I was scared. I was angry. I was angry with myself for putting myself in a situation like this, and for not being able to control my fear on top. I was relieved and happy, of course, at the same time that it had worked out fine. But I think it was just such a mix of emotions that I couldn't really decide what to feel. But I felt good when I drove away from that place. I had a broken wrist and a broken tailbone, but it felt like a victory to be able to walk away from a mistake or a bad jump like that. And I felt like the Hand of Fatima had challenged us in every way possible, and in a way we had won, because we had fulfilled our dream of climbing to the top and flying down. And we had also met a lot of beautiful people in the village of Dari. And for us it was, the trip couldn't have been given us more.